Guys, welcome back to Middle Ground Tactical. As you notice, both of my hands are free and you're looking at a table. So this is my first video here with the tripod. So we're going to test this out, and my first video here is actually going to be kind of an overview of my load bearing equipment over the different different years, what I've tried and what's worked for me and my thoughts on it. So not really an in-depth review of one product or the other, but kind of a review of what I think of some different things and how it's worked out for me. So before we get started in that, of course, feel free to subscribe down there. Hit that notification bell so my videos will definitely show up in your feed. And of course, the comment section, have fun down there. Just don't be too big of assholes to each other. And lastly, of course, all of the likes that you leave definitely help out those small channels. So if you can leave a like down there, I definitely appreciate that. So let's go ahead and we'll get into the main topic here. And the first thing I'm going to start with is my first experience in load bearing equipment, and that is going to be this. This is a Condor battle belt, and as you'll see, it's pretty empty right now. I don't have anything on it except for this triple kangaroo mag pouch, and that's because, like I say, I have moved away from this. So to start with, I want to say this is, yes, Condor, and Condor gets a pretty bad rap from a lot of people in the tactical community, mainly because it isn't the highest quality stuff. It's for the most part made overseas, and it's not made out of the popular Cordura nylon. So there's some detractors to it that a lot of people end up writing Condor products off for. But I will say this piece of gear really is not a bad piece of gear. I think Condor kind of gets a bad rap. Like I said, yes, they are for the most part made overseas. Yes, it's not necessarily quality like Crye Precision, Blue Force gear, anything like that. But it's good gear for stuff on a budget, or for people on a budget. Like I say, I picked this up fairly cheap. This is one of their, I think it's their Gen 2 battle belt. It has all of the MOLLE across it that you need to attach lots of different things. You'll notice it is kind of wide, and that kind of a battle belt setup is kind of falling out of favor for some of the slimmer things, and sometimes even just over belts that are just like a single row of MOLLE that people attach things to. It's got kind of a few things not necessarily going for it when it comes to the modern techniques. But I will say I never really had a terrible experience with this. There are some ways that it needs to be improved. Obviously, like I say, I have moved on from it, but this is actually going to go back into my car. I'm going to re-outfit it, add a couple of things, and I'm going to put this in my car as a quick go-to loadout, just in case I need it. And the changes I'm mainly going to make, I've got the mag pouches, which are pretty much going to stay here. But this belt buckle right here, this Fastex buckle, this is not the greatest belt in the world. I bought it with the belt. I was thinking it'd work for the time being, but first time I had it out and was seriously using it, I went prone, and this was just flexible enough that it flexed when I hit the ground, and it disconnected this. So it ended up falling off. I'm definitely switching that out to like a Cobra buckle belt. Other than that, like I say, it works pretty well. Obviously, I've got to throw some first aid kit, like a dump pouch, a few things on here that I would need otherwise. But you'll notice here that it has these D-rings around the outside of the top of the belt, and that's to be able to hang like an H harness or like a suspension system from it. And that's something that I'm also going to add to this is I'm going to add the Condor H harness to it, which has MOLLE on it, so I can throw a hydration carrier on the back if I need to. I can put stuff on my shoulders if I need to. It's got a little bit of MOLLE up there, but mainly the reason I want to do that is because the only way that this stays on your waist I'll lay it out here, is these sections here, this material, it's kind of a rubberized fabric. It's not real super grippy, so it does tend to fall down off of your waist if you have it loaded. So that's the reason I'm definitely going to that suspension system. Obviously there are better alternatives, but I'm also not wanting to spend a ton of money on something just so it can sit in my car and maybe never get used. And since I have this, it's not going to be that much of much work to go ahead and upgrade this to what I need it to be. But that was my first foray into load-bearing equipment. And like I say, I don't really have a lot of negative things to say about it, but definitely for what I was using it for, I found a better option. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what I moved to from this. And that would be this right here. And this, if you're not familiar with it, is a U.S. Army load-bearing vest, LBV. It's the enhanced version, so you see it has the mesh back here, and you'll notice the pockets are slanted. It does require the use of a pistol belt here to be able to attach things. You'll see I have a Bianchi mag pouch, pistol mag pouch here. But you'll also notice that it is entirely empty as well. I also moved away from this. This actually works really well. I really like this system. It supports the weight really well. The pad, shoulder pads here are real nice and thick and cushiony. Even on the back, right here, this is made for Alice webbing, but between this and these D-rings down here, I was able to attach a hydration carrier, a MOLLE hydration carrier to this with absolutely no issue. It was absolutely wonderful. And this is hyper adjustable. Like, I've seen these fit guys that are, you know, upwards of 300 pounds, and I've seen guys that barely weigh over 100 pounds wear these, and it fits them all. So this is a really great system. And the reason I moved away from it is actually due to the platform that I use for a rifle. I use an AK as my primary rifle, and these mag pouches here, let me get this out of the way, these mag pouches here are specifically designed for M16 mags, 30 round mags. This particular load bearing vest can hold up to 6 30 round M16 mags. These bottom pouches hold 1 each, and these top pouches hold 2 each. But with my AK, first off, I could fit 1 mag in each of these bottom pouches, 1 AK mag, but I couldn't close them over because obviously they're too tall. And the top of this doesn't leave much room for any kind of expansion. Then these 2 round pouches, I could kind of pull the flap over the top. I couldn't secure it, but it would still only hold 1 mag in each. So, you know, that took me down to 4 mags out of the 6 that this could potentially hold, which honestly, that didn't necessarily bother me. 4 extra mags plus 1 in the rifle, more than anybody would I actually need in most situations, unless they're actually going into a fight, expecting a fight, you know. But of course, all of this, it does use the old style pistol belt, so all of the attachments that you would need to do are most likely going to be MOLLE, or I'm sorry, they're going to be Alice clip, the old Alice clip setup. Now, as I mentioned, I was able to fit some MOLLE stuff onto here. I had my first aid kit and my my dump pouch and the hydration carrier, but you know, it doesn't work as well as Alice does, obviously. MOLLE tends to slide around on the belt because it's not really secured very well, and you know, you can't really find anything useful for AKs in Alice style attachments, and also a lot of the more modern equipment that you're going to want to use, unless you just want to kind of improvise with surplus Alice gear, a lot of the stuff that you're going to want to be using is definitely MOLLE or PALS compatible stuff. So like my first aid kit, to have a good comprehensive first aid kit, I have to have a MOLLE kit, which you'll see on my my next vest here. But like I say, this served me for a few months really well. I didn't really have any major complaints about it other than the fact that it really was not made for use with an AK. And because of that, you know, noise discipline was kind of an issue as the rifle would be banging up against these open mags and kind of making clanking noises. But you know, it's not hot, it's not uncomfortable. It did what I needed it to do, and I just found a better option, and I'll show you what that next option is. And this is my current setup, and you're gonna have to forgive the mess that it is. But this right here is a U.S. Army Flick Vest, or FLC, Fighting Load Carrier. And you'll notice that the Flick Vest is MOLLE compatible, which is absolutely wonderful for what I need it for. You're gonna have to forgive all of that moving around. And this is kind of a mess right now because I have everything on it, and my first aid pouch does not like to play nicely. But what I got here is one of the first generation Flick vests. I'm going to take these gloves off so they're kind of out of the way. You can tell it's the first generation because it has these buckles here in the center. The next generation actually has a zipper and then just a buckle up here, and that actually kind of serves to pull this stuff in closer to your center, which I like. I've actually ordered one of those and it's going to be on the way. Functionally, it's exactly the same except for that zipper. But what you'll notice here is I've got some different mag pouches, and these are AK specific mag pouches. As you'll see, I actually have some AK mags here. This is a P mag. I think I have, yep, all three of these are P mags. But they are the double AK mag pouch, kangaroo style. So I've got my pistol mags here on the front of all of those. So I'm carrying 4 AK mags and 4 pistol mags, which again is the exact same as I had on my Alice setup. But this is so much more user-friendly and compatible with what I need it to be. Something else that I didn't mention with the other setup is that my radio, I actually had to stick in one of the grenade pouches on the old vest. So it wasn't really user-friendly, whereas this, I was able to weave my MOLLE radio pouch into the vest itself, so it's just right there, easy to access and use. Another cool thing, my knife here, this is my Gerber Strong Arm. It is MOLLE compatible, but because of, again, there was no MOLLE on that previous vest, what I had to do was kind of jerry-rig this into the Alice setup, and it really wasn't all that great. It kind of interfered with where my pistol was, so I definitely moved away from that. But excuse me. The cool thing about this is because this knife is MOLLE compatible, I'm able to actually weave it in here behind my mag pouches, so it kind of keeps it secure, a little bit concealed, but it's accessible from both hands, which is something that I think is important. And then here on the back, you'll notice on the back there's MOLLE down here at the belt line, which is where I have my dump pouch and my my first aid kit mounted. But besides that, there's no MOLLE, no connections for anything else. There's just this drag handle connected to your shoulder straps, and that's it. So there's no way to really connect a hydration pouch to this. That is somewhat of a temporary issue, kind of a minor issue. I found a way to work around. It's not a huge deal. And basically what I do is I just go ahead and throw the hydration carrier over the top of this, since it has shoulder straps. It's not a big deal. But this is my current setup. I'm currently, like I say, in love with this setup. It works wonderfully. Again, it spreads out the weight really well. You know, just as well as I think the Alice load carrying vest does. But they say this because it is one of the Gen 1s does have some disadvantages, but that's something that I'm working past and getting taken care of. But that is the video of my load-bearing kit and my current setup. Again, the things are going to continue evolving, you know, as I kind of progress and you know, my needs evolve. I may not necessarily stay with the FLC vest. I may end up moving over to like a plate carrier and chest rig setup, or just run a plate carrier with the pouches I need. I don't know, that, like I say, those are bridges that I cross when I come to them. But the next video that you're going to expect to see, which should be up within the next couple of days, is going to be the evolution of holsters that I've used, like outside the waistband holsters that I've used, and just kind of my thoughts on what I think of the particular holsters and why I moved from one to the other. And I have some special information about holster, a specific kind of holster there that I think it might be interesting. You might think it's interesting, but it's definitely something worth noting when it comes to these holsters. But again, thank you for watching. You know, these reviews are going to start coming more often, and like I said in my last video, I will be shipping out for basic here in about 1.5 to 2 months. So I'm going to try to do as much as I can in between now and then. But again, you know, limited time, limited space, limited availability. So I'll do what I can to keep you guys entertained. But always remember that an unarmed man is a slave and an armed man is a civilian. You guys have a great afternoon.